Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'll turn it over to Paul Skeen to kick us off for today.
Thanks, Caitlin. Appreciate the musical introduction there. It's always nice to get going. Appreciate everyone joining us. We've got over 80 participants so far, and it looks like it's continuing to creep up. So appreciate everyone taking some time to join us for the Mountain West Capital Network Business Forum. Just a couple of announcements before we get rolling with the program. A reminder that we will have another business forum on December 17th. The keynote speaker will be Steve Sonnenberg, CEO of Awardco, who was the #1 fastest growing company in our recent Utah 100 event that was October 13th. That is sponsored and hosted by Tanner. So would love to have everyone here join us for that as well. Watch for details in the coming weeks on that. Now, if you missed the Utah 100 broadcast or event, the video of that link and the link to the book, the Utah 100 book with all of the rankings and all of the companies that were recognized, those links are on our website now, and we would encourage you to go check those out. A lot of exciting companies being honored there. Now, I will turn the time over to Chris Badger from Now CFO, who is graciously hosting this event. We appreciate their technical expertise in getting a Zoom meeting working well. Sherry and I are not to be relied on with Zoom yet. We'll get there, but we're not there yet. So really appreciate Caitlin and Chris and their efforts. So Chris, I'll let you take it over and introduce the rest of the program.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. We really appreciate this opportunity to work with Mountain West Capital Network and have awesome presenters like Vess Pearson. And so I'm going to introduce him here a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about Aptive because of all places, I was in Vegas in a wedding last week, and one of my nephews was telling everybody about this awesome company that he was working with. And he had made enough in his summer to pay for the next 2 years of school. And one of the questions is, everybody was asking him, are you going to take it easy? And he was so excited that he's going to go work for him again this summer. And it was Aptive of all things. And so Aptive was founded in 2015 by Vess and his longtime partner, David Royce. They've launched with 29 branches originally, and then now they're over 1 million customers and are continuing to grow. Just did a press release over this last weekend. They had another record summer, and that in a COVID pandemic year, having a record summer, which is really great. Right now, they were named as one of the 7th largest in the nation by PCT Magazine out of over 20,000 competitors. Aptive is also one of the best places to work, ranked on Glassdoor's, and they have been on a high hockey stick-like growth path. Vess is an expert in the industry, and under his leadership, they've grown to over 1 million customers. Vess's leadership style has been recognized as impactful and has clinched him a Gold Stevie Award both in 2019 and in 2020. And he's also been named a finalist in the EY, Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Vess is focused on making Aptive's workforce second to none. He pushes his organization to embody a tech company approach to a traditionally blue-collar industry. And under his leadership, he's cultivating their employees and customers and hoping to take Aptive to the next level of success. It's kind of interesting. Vess is actually a BYU accounting graduate. So he's an accountant. I love that above a lot of other things, but obviously that's not what he's focusing on now. And he's a big golf fan. We were just talking about where Tiger Woods was at with his golf event today. Big boater. He's got a great family here. And he'll even go up and take his family skiing, even though that snow sports is not his greatest love. Boating and some of the summer events are what they like to do. And with that, I'm so excited to introduce Vess with the companies that we've met with. We go and meet a lot of different companies, and Aptive is one of the most squared away emerging companies that I've seen here in Utah. And so without any further ado, we're going to turn the time over to Vess and let him take it from here. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Chris. Very, very kind, all of those words. And I appreciate MountainWest for having me. I have to admit that this setting is somewhat challenging. When you speak in a room, you can see facial expressions and you can hear sound, and you get a little bit more feedback. So you'll have to bear with me because I feel like I'm just talking to myself, which generally is not a good thing. One thing that I do want to point out to everyone is that whether or not you're an entrepreneur or you're starting a company, I think that the story of Aptive and some of the things that I've learned over the years applies to everything, whether that is you're a manager in your business, you're a father, you're a mother, you lead a club, you coach a sports team. These are principles that I believe transcend all institutions and groups. And so hopefully everyone can maybe take something. I also want to acknowledge that this is what's happened to us. That doesn't mean that we've done everything perfectly or right. Certainly we've stepped in some holes and learned along the way. And although I'm the one telling the story today, this story is also very much the story of my business partner, David Royce. And I so appreciate him and the original vision that he gave to me. So I'll go ahead and maybe share some slides here. All right, we should be good to go. So this right here, actually, let me go to not this view. Just play from start. This is my family. I have 4 kids. You can see I'm holding Beckett. He's 3. 2 days ago, he told his mom that Jesus was going to pick him up from school that day, and that he wanted Jesus to see his Mario Halloween costume. And given the way the year's gone, I honestly didn't, put it outside of the realm of possibility of that happening. But he's a ton of fun. There's Hayes on the right. He's 6 years old, almost 7. Harper is our little mom, almost 9. And then Jackson is our little guy. And of course, there's Angie. I do want to point out that if you do want to start a business or grow a business, your spouse has to be involved. It's definitely a team effort. It's a family effort. It takes a lot of time. There's stress, there's pressure, and Angie has been the perfect partner to me, and I'm so grateful for her and for all of my family. Now, I want to start out with a story that's really important to our family, and it underscores a lot of the reason why I believe that Aptive has been able to grow the way that it's grown. We've always been gritty. We've always had the attitude of do whatever it takes as long as it's moral and ethical. And that has taken us really, really far. In November of 2014, my little boy Hayes, the 6-year-old, had an accident where he swallowed a callus remover, and that basically turned his esophagus into a rope. And he was having treatment to fix that. And in one of those treatments, his esophagus was torn. He drank a bottle, and when he drank that bottle, it created a septic situation. And Angie called me while I was at work and said, Hayes is really sick. He's banging his head against his crib because he's just in so much pain. I said, okay, well, why don't you take him in? And well, that's when we found out there was the tear. As that day went on, he got more and more sick. And at one point he was given a shot. Once again, he was just a little over 1 year old at this point, and he didn't even respond. And at that point we knew something was really bad. And a surgeon came and took our son and said, he's dying. We don't know what's going on. And then 5 hours later, this is what was returned to us. This is little Hayes. Now, there's obviously a happy ending to this story, because there's Hayes now, very, very healthy and happy, and a normal little boy. While this was going on, though, for several weeks, we had a competitor who was actively trying to take us down. In fact, they said our goal is to put you out of business. And so I was dealing with that. I was dealing with this. And I think that once again, part of my story is just a willingness to fight, to feel a competitiveness, to do what it takes. And so, during the day I was at Aptive. I was, with Hayes and Angie at the hospital. And as this competitor was trying to steal our reps, I even started meeting with reps literally in the middle of the night. I remember one meeting at 3 a.m. in my basement, because that's just when worked. And that's what it took to get the job done. And ultimately we were able to weather that storm as a family, and weather that storm, with Aptive. So here is, today's start of the Masters. So I do have to show you my most favorite picture besides that one of my family. So before Tiger won the Masters last time, I actually played 18 holes with him at Riviera Country Club, which was just an awesome experience. People say, what was he like? He was super gracious. We had, I don't know, maybe around 10 meaningful conversations. So if you're a golf fan, number one, if you're a golf fan, turn me off and turn the Masters on right now. But I thought you might enjoy this picture if you're into golf. So a few other of my heroes, just as an FYI, Kobe Bryant, Abraham Lincoln. I just love how thoughtful and how good of a listener Abraham Lincoln was. Obviously Tiger. Arthur Brooks, he gave my favorite speech ever on giving. It's called Why Giving Matters. He's a Catholic, but that speech was actually given at a forum at BYU, and it is sensational. And it's really shaped a lot of the philosophy of giving that I have, that we've tried to incorporate at Aptive, and then also Russell Nelson. So who is Aptive? Well, here's just kind of a short intro video that, kind of says what we do.
Hey, I'm Trey Warner, and welcome to Aptive. Our service program is designed to treat your home once every season. Quarterly treatments are performed by highly trained service professionals, like me. They range from broad spray applications outside your home during the summer, to targeting smaller wall voids and cracks where pests like to gather in the winter. And prior to any visit, we'll notify you of the date and time window via your preferred contact method, whether it be a text, email, or a phone call. We begin at the source of bug problems, your yard. Your service professional will look for and treat hot spots of bug activity up to 30 feet from your home. Next, we sweep all of your eaves up to 25 feet. Providing a foundational perimeter treatment might be the most important line of defense. Aptive is home of the free reservice. Sometimes bugs can return before your next quarterly treatment, and if they do, will return as well. Our goal at Aptive is to help you keep pests away from your home by providing a better approach, better results, and better service. Welcome to the Aptive family. We look forward to caring for your home.
Little video that customers watch when they become a customer. So we've been blessed with a lot of accolades. Most recently, we were an Entrepreneur magazine. We're an emerging elite. The Glassdoor award was really cool because that's very organic. There's obviously hundreds of thousands of businesses in the United States, well, millions actually, and we made that top 100 list with Glassdoor. So super excited what the team has been able to accomplish over the years. Our revenue growth has been pretty awesome. In 2016, we were about 36 million. And this year we're going to end at about 266 million. And we've put on about 1.2 million accounts over these 5 years. And you've seen our employee count, or you can see our employee count has steadily grown as well. But there is a story behind, you know, all of this. I grew up in a place called Corona, California. It's about 35 minutes from Disneyland in Riverside County, about 45 minutes from the beach. And it was an awesome place to grow up. And in 2006, I was studying at BYU, and I was stressed out of my mind trying to get into the accounting program, trying to figure out a way to pay for life. And one day my brother, Drew, he came to me and said, I'm going to go sell pest control during the summer, and I'm going to make all this money. He took my computer and started looking at BMWs. And I'm just like, you are an idiot. You're just a dumb kid. And he said, no, I'm going to go do it. And I said, well, great, go and do it. I'm going to stay here and take Math 119, which was a calculus class. And so he went home and he did it. He went to California, or to Corona, to start selling. And I called him every day for 3 weeks and said, Drew, how's it going? And he said, oh, it's going really well. It's going really well. And one day I called him and I said, Drew, how's it going? And he's like, it's not going that well. And I said, well, what happened? He's like, I only sold 2 accounts today. Well, how much money did you make? I don't know. I made around $250. And then a light bulb kind of went off for me, in that, oh my goodness, my little brother is upset about making $250 today. And I made $64 today working in the ASB building at BYU. That's a problem. And so I immediately dropped out of my class, drove to Corona, California. And that first summer, made $30,000 in a few months. And I thought, wow, this job is really awesome. So I came back the next year and led a few people, and I was still in college, and I made about $100,000. And then I came back the next year, led a few more people, and made almost $300,000, all still while in college. And at that point I thought, okay, maybe there's something to this pest control thing. Now, for those sales reps that are watching right now, pay plans were about 50% less then than they are now. So lucky all of you. You can, increase those numbers by 50%, see what you would have made had you done what I did. So fast forward many years, and actually just a couple of years, and Dave Royce came to me and said, hey, why don't we do this long term? Why don't we really try to build something? And I thought, I don't know about that. I'm going to go be a lawyer, something with, that's a little bit more fancy, nice suits, fancy rugs, cool buildings, things like that. I just, most little boys don't think when I grow up, I want to, be in pest control. But, Dave kind of worked on me, and eventually I said, okay, let's do it. And so one of the biggest questions I had was, could we make pest control sexy? Could I make it an industry? Could we create a company that I was super proud of, that looked different than everybody else's, version of what pest control looked like? And so that's what we set out to do. And the reality is, you can't grow like we've been able to grow unless you have tremendous people. The secret to Aptive success is, over the years, we have kept our people on board. And in order to keep your people on board, you got to provide an awesome experience. And I believe that we do that. And so we set out on this journey to make it sexy. And we really focused on culture. Corporate culture matters. How management chooses to treat its people impacts everything, for better or for worse. Your employees are either walking, towards you or away from you. It's very rare that they are in neutral. And because of the culture that we've been able to build, we've had incredible employee retention, which has helped us to grow really, really quickly. So what does it look like for us? For one, we said, we want facilities that are inspiring. And so we invested heavily in our facilities, and we really tried to take a chapter out of Silicon Slopes and make our office space feel kind of tech. So these are a few pictures of our office space. This is a game room that we have upstairs for employees to be able to take a break, decompress, relax. This is obviously pretty awesome. This court was used in an NCAA Final Four. Obviously, we reskinned it. In fact, the NCAA forces you to do that. But we wanted to build a culture where people enjoyed being in the office. I think that this also leads to people wanting to work hard because it's a comfortable place to work. We put a ton of emphasis into swag and events. Once again, just trying to create this club that Aptive isn't only your job, it's a way of life. It's who you are. It's your fraternity or your sorority. And so we invest heavily in swag for our people. In fact, in any given year, we produce over 100 custom products, everything from shirts to hats to basketballs to Apple watches with custom bands and so on and so forth. In fact, this was our recent prize pickup where we put several $1 million into prizes for various sales tournaments that we do throughout the summertime. And we always want to wow, which is one of our core values. Wowing is not just, to our customers, but we're trying to wow our employees as well. And so we try to leave no detail not thought about. So this was a prize pickup. We gave a Tesla away, which was pretty fun. Once again, really pay attention to the details. These are rings for our teams that won the cup tournament. Events. We're really good at bringing people in, like Taysom Hill has come in. Alex Honnold, who scaled El Capitan, and you've probably seen the movie Free Solo. Marcus Luttrell from Lone Survivor, the Navy SEAL from that movie, Lone Survivor. Once again, the strategy behind all of this is just to create a place where people want to stay, because you cannot grow if you're losing your key people all of the time. And we take a lot of pride in the fact that it is rare, almost close to 0%, that a person that achieves the level of manager, leaves us. And we're excited to continue to improve our employee retention across all groups of employees as well. We've really focused on creating a culture of giving back and of charity. Arthur Brooks, who I mentioned earlier, gave this speech at BYU where he makes the very, very compelling case. And this is not the reason why you give, but he does prove that it happens. That if you give, you will become wealthier. It just happens. And a lot of people have it backwards. They think that you give after you become wealthy. He says, no, you give to become wealthy. And wealth is not just the number of dollars in your pocket. It's the way that you feel. It's the confidence that you have. But he actually made the point that, dollars in your pocket. And that's why I really believe that you should, read this speech. He says that whether or not you think it's providence, smiling down upon you for your giving, or you become wealthier because you feel good about yourself and you're seen as a leader and you have better health when you give, it doesn't really matter. The point is that it happens. And, giving has a very galvanizing effect on an organization. And it just, once again, goes back to Aptive grows because we grow our people and because our people stick with us. If we were constantly churning through people, we would never get the momentum that we've been able to garner to grow the way that we've been able to grow. And so we've done really fun things like charity events with Donovan Mitchell. We had him to the building, and he shot 3-pointers, for charity. We support Nothing But Nets. It's an organization that provides insecticide-treated bed nets for regions of the world that have issues with mosquitoes carrying malaria. In fact, we've nearly given that organization $1 million over the year. When I say we, it's a collective effort. The company, our employees, customers, everybody. We support a remote school in Ecuador. This one's really fun because as opposed to just writing a check, we actually get on an airplane and go there. This is a school that supports 80 families that live up at 13,000 feet. But without this school, their kids would not be able to go to school because there isn't another school up there. And so we've really enjoyed working in Ecuador. And then we also do quite a bit of work with Operation Underground Railroad to fight human trafficking. And we feel really blessed to be, to be able to work with that organization as well. So why else have we been able to grow? We are obsessed with training. Our people, when they go out to do their job, are really, really good at it. We have book clubs and speaker series, and here's a host of lots of other things that we do to ensure that our employees are equipped properly to go and find success, with their job. I believe that, we are, very elite problem solvers. In fact, I'm kind of weird that when problems come in front of me, I get a little bit excited. I'm going to come back to that picture, but here's a picture, here's Michael Jordan. And if you think about when you're a kid, out playing basketball, counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you shoot the shot to try to, beat the buzzer. That's what I see problem solving in business as. At this point, none of us are able to be athletes. We're not playing, our high school sports. We're not professional athletes. I needed an outlet for my competitiveness. And in many ways for me, problem solving in business gives me that opportunity where oftentimes when there's a problem, I'm thinking, okay, that's my Super Bowl. That's my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, type moment. And it helps me to get focused. I'm able to see it as an opportunity. There's an amazing book called The Obstacle is the Way. And it really teaches that these problems are opportunities to find a better solution. They're opportunities to prove to yourself that you can do hard things. I very much welcome stress because stress is evidence that what I do matters. Now, self-inflicted stress because of bad decisions is not the type of stress we want, but the other type of stress is just an indication that you have something to do that really matters. Now, sometimes you have to think outside of the box to solve a problem. And I'm going to preface this story by saying I'm not necessarily proud of it, but I'm going to tell the story anyway. So we have a vendor who still is one of our vendors, and the owner of that company is a good friend of ours at this point. And they would help us with some of our inside sales. And they wanted to increase the price for the following year. And I, of course, wanted the price to stay the same or go down per sale. And so for weeks, he and I were negotiating this and going back and forth, and no one really wanted to give an inch. And it was about a $500,000 decision. And so eventually, and once again, this was his idea, but he came to me, or he called me and said, "Hey, I've got an idea. Let's shoot for it. Let's shoot baskets for it." And I said, Awesome. I certainly am not a great, basketball player. I can't run, jump, or do much. But an empty gym with no one around and no fans and no defenders in my face, I'm actually, a pretty good shooter. He didn't know that though. And so I invited him over. He had been practicing at Gold's Gym, he told me, before, he had the idea. So he came over and we played a game called Around the World, which is where you just kind of shoot at different points and work your way around, the basket. Long story short, I clutched up, hit 8 of 10 threes, and saved us $500,000 on that negotiation. So lots of ways to solve problems. But I think the key is that you've just got to know that there almost always is a solution. And entrepreneurship and problem solving always comes down to who is willing to take the time to solve the problem. Now, something that I really love and respect about my partner, Dave, is that when friction comes or when problems arise, which, I mean, that's every day in business, he always stays calm. He never gets too high, never gets too low, because when you get too high and when your mind becomes frantic or you become desperate, that's when bad decision making happens. And so as you are faced with problems or things that come in front of you, take a breath and realize that if you sit and you think, more than likely you can figure out a solution. Now, here's the thing. I actually don't believe in the idea of never quit. I feel like sometimes the answer to the problem is you got to stop doing what you were doing and you need to go another direction. When people say never quit, I think what they mean is don't stop trying to find solutions and to be better. But sometimes in business, you do need to take another route because the previous route wasn't working. And a good business person recognizes that and recognizes it quickly. Why else has Aptive been able to grow? We've really tried to bring a white collar approach to a blue collar industry. And at this point, I believe that if you're going to survive, every company needs to be a technology company. And so we actually have about 40 engineers that work with us, some of them stateside, many of them overseas, which is different for pest control companies, just not something that most people would think about. And so we've developed a customer app that we're still continuing to work on to make it a great tool for our customers. Our sales reps have access to something called Aptive Pay, so they can always see, exactly where they stand. We have recruiting tools. Street Smarts is really fun. It allows our reps to track all of their knocks and the outcomes so that we can better train and better hold them accountable to a certain standard of work ethic. We've developed a selling app, obviously, to help us close all of our sales. Aptive.guru runs our tournaments and other stats and things like that. And so, we've really tried to commit to differentiating ourselves through technology. And I think that's important to understand, in that if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to, go start a business, you don't have to necessarily think of something new. I mean, pest control has been around for a very, very long time, over 100 years. And yet, despite the fact that there are 20,000 other companies and people trying to do precisely what we're doing, we've been able to thrive just because we find little things to do differently. Once again, this entire journey, at least for me, started with the fact that, or with the question of, could we make pest control sexy? And I think that we've been able to accomplish that. Now, certainly, as we've gone throughout, let me kind of check time here. There's things that I've learned about mindset and about goal setting that I do think is helpful. Aptive has been around for 5 years. But, you know, Dave and I have been on this journey for about 14 years. There's been several renditions of this company. And one of our secrets to achieving big goals is we've looked at things kind of 3 years at a time. So I remember the first goal we set, it was to, hey, let's put on 42,000 accounts in a year, because no company's ever done that. So you work and work and work and work, and then you get there. And then it was, hey, can we do 100,000 accounts? And then was it, can we do 100 million? Somewhere in there it was, we want to be able to get a building. Speaking of a building, our first building, Steve Elison, he's our senior VP of finance. We shared a desk in one room. And I remember when we had a projector installed, and there was a little switch on the wall that if you flip the switch, the projector would go down and then back up. And I remember when they came and installed that projector, I thought, Steve, we have arrived. Like, we have made it. We have a projector, that moves up and down. And, and now we're here. The point is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And greatness is made up of consistently doing little things very, very well. You want to be a great entrepreneur or a great leader of your organization or a great leader of your family. You got to be consistent. You got to be okay with, repetition. So a few thoughts on a mindset and a culture of grit. This year we were staring at a pandemic. That was scary. It was scary for us. It was scary for our sales reps, for our branch managers, our service pros. Everyone's wondering, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? And so I had this idea of Aptive Strong, where my thought was, hey, I don't know what's going to happen this summer, but I do know that we're going to need to be more mentally tough than we've ever been before. I also know that we need to distract ourselves from the fact that right now, this was, March, April, we can't go out and actually make sales. And so we launched this idea of Aptive Strong, where we challenged our leadership to go and do hard things. We have one rep named Gabe, who is not a runner, who said, I'm going to go run a marathon today. No training. So he finished the marathon. Then he thought, you know what? I'm already out here. I'm already doing this. I'm just going to run 50 miles. And so he did that. Then he got to 50 miles and said, well, what the heck? I'm halfway there. So I'm just going to run 100 miles and try to do it in 24 hours. Once again, no training. This is not a distance runner or anything like that. He ended up doing it in, 26 hours. We had other reps doing a program called 75 Hard. They were reading books. They were sitting in rivers. They were just doing things to, as David Goggins has taught, to callous their minds and help them understand that there can be a new reality and they can push beyond what they thought was possible. So it was awesome. It kind of took over the company, and hundreds of our reps were doing Aptive Strong things. Eventually, many of the restrictions were lifted. And in fewer days this year than we were able to work last year, our average sales reps sold 23% more in the middle of a pandemic. And the company still hit its original goal. And I think it's because we prepared mentally. We kept the belief. We didn't let the fact that there was a huge obstacle in our way actually get in the way. We also were able to learn about being nimble. Certain locations wouldn't allow us to sell, and so we opened up 9 locations legally and in an efficient way in about 9 weeks, or excuse me, in about 3 weeks. 9 locations in about 3 weeks. We put our entire call center under one roof, which was already in the works, but certainly the virus kind of helped push us that direction even faster. And so why has Aptive been able to grow? Because we grind and we fight. And I'll probably end on this story. And if any of you reps are watching this, you'll probably get a laugh. But it was in 2000, either 15 or 16. I honestly can't remember. we were about a week away from the start of the summer. And we had a group of reps, about 100, which is a meaningful number of reps, that were being recruited away to another company. And we already had housing and service pros, and and all in it had invested millions of dollars into their success and their situation. However, another company was offering a lot of things, and they were ready to pick up and leave and move somewhere else. It got so bad that they wouldn't answer my phone calls even. And so I was thinking, geez, we're going to lose these people, and this is going to be pretty bad for the company. So, and maybe you all are going to think this Vess guy is absolutely insane. But in the spirit of grit and doing what it takes to be successful, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get on an airplane and fly to Wilmington, North Carolina, where these people are. I don't know where they live, though. I didn't have addresses. They were not answering my phone calls. So I got on an airplane, flew to Wilmington, North Carolina, and literally like a crazy man just started walking the streets, looking for our sales reps. And long story short, I ran into them, found them, was able to talk to them, was able to reignite their love of Aptive and saved all of them. And that decision to get on that plane in single year revenue over the years contributed about $40 million. Over the lifetime of those customers, that was a $100 million plus decision to go and get on that plane and fight and believe that I could somehow solve that problem. And so that is my crazy Wilmington story. At the end of the day, everyone, I feel like, needs to have a villain, not someone that you're actively fighting with. It can be a secret villain, but someone that gets you up in the morning, that makes you want to compete. In our most successful years, generally something kind of bad has happened to us. And when you have a villain, it'll keep you focused. It'll help you to pay closer attention to detail, and it will really push you to lengths that you didn't think were possible. And so I got to be the one to tell the story. It's my story, and so it doesn't feel that amazing to me, but hopefully for some of you, there's something in this that you're able to take away and incorporate into your life. I know that there are people from Aptive that are listening, and so I actually meant to say that this is our story, and I so appreciate the efforts that you make to help us build this amazing company. If you're wondering what our next 3 to 5 year goal is, because that's what we've always had, by 2025 we want to be number 3. So there's 20,000 companies. We want to be number 3. Rollins, Terminex, and then Aptive. That would put us about $1 billion in sales. And early on, you're able to grow because of just grit and determination and sticking with it and problem solving. I'm really excited because we have those values now, but we've really grown our team the last 18 months and brought a lot more sophistication as we've brought in new executives and new VPs and new directors. And I just couldn't be more excited to work with the team that we have. So thank you for the time. That's all I've got today.
Awesome. Thank you, Vess. We really appreciate you presenting to us. And we're going to kind of open it up for questions. And so people, if you have questions for Vess, please put it in through the chat function. I've got some ones that are coming back that have already come through. And so if you do have any questions, please put it through the chat function. And Vess, if you could go back to that 14 years ago, that journey, and you were going to give yourself one piece of advice back when you were just starting out, what would that one piece of advice be?
That is an awesome question. You know, at the end of the day, and I think that I'll give myself some advice, but I also think I followed this advice. You know, believe that you can have whatever you want. There's nothing too big that you can't obtain. It can't be an empty belief, in that belief isn't accompanied by action and by procedures and knowledge and things like that. But, you know, we can have, as humans, anything that we really want, as long as, you know, we want it bad enough.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Vess. You mentioned your book, The Obstacle is the Way. Are there any other books that you would refer out to other entrepreneurs or business people as they go through?
Yeah, some recent books that I've really loved are Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It tells the story of Nike. I love the book How Will You Measure Your Life by Clayton Christensen. There's a book right now that I'm just in the middle of that our Chief Strategy Officer Edmund recommended to the company for the company to read, and it's The Soul of the Firm, and I've really enjoyed that one so far. Pretty much any book about a Navy SEAL I have read and enjoyed. I love the Steve Jobs biography as well. So that's a few that I've read somewhat recently.
Awesome. I think those are all good books, and it gives me a nice, good holiday reading list.
Awesome.
Okay. You know, obviously over the last 14 years, you've made lots of business decisions. I love the basketball shooting for that impasse in negotiations. I don't know if I'd be able to do that or pull that off, but over the last 14 years, if you could go back and if you'd change one thing that you did and change it for the better, what would that be? What would you have done differently over that time frame?
Yeah. I think that there were certain decisions that I really felt passionately were the right decision, that maybe I wasn't quite bold enough to pull the trigger on or to push the organization hard enough on. And so I think that, once and start acting on it.
Okay. Tell me a little bit, you're set up there in Provo in the heart of Utah County. You got the basketball court, you got the building. What does it kind of look like over the next couple of years for Aptive here in Utah?
Yeah, so we're expanding rapidly. In fact, I'm looking out at a building we just took over, next to us. So we're taking about another 40,000 square feet, and so we'll continue to build out our corporate team. We have about 1,800 employees that have their address here in Utah, and I expect that to grow well over 2,000 and then 3,000 over the next couple of years. It's been really fun. At the beginning of starting a business, you're forced to be lean because resources are low and cash is tight. You get to a point though where being lean starts to kind of hurt you because you miss out on insights and business acumen and business knowledge that true experts can bring to you. And so as we've been able to build out our team, not only have we become a more sophisticated company and much more than just your run-of-the-mill, door-to-door pest control company, but it's been fun to grow our Utah footprints as far as employees go.
We love that. Obviously, MountainWest Capital Network is we're Utah-based. This is it. If you had some advice, question came in. If you had some advice for brand new entrepreneurs who are just starting out, what are some of the things that just barely starting out? What are some of the things that they should focus on or do to be successful in their career?
Well, one of the biggest ones, and this is probably the hardest one, is you have to make sure that you're funded properly. Too often there's a great idea that is killed just because you run out of money, or too often you have a great idea and it's such a great idea that you grow super fast, and then you can no longer fund that growth, and it stops what was something that was really, really good. And so at the very beginning, make sure that you understand your cash very well, and that you're funded properly. And then number two is do whatever you can to attract really smart people to be around you. And frankly, I think at the beginning, you're trying to find people that can wear a lot of hats just because they have to. You can't necessarily afford to go and, hire the shiniest of executives from, other companies. And so just look for really smart people that are problem solvers. I think that surrounding yourself with people that are competitive is also, really helpful when you're just starting out as a young entrepreneur. And the third thing would be, just make sure you have that little twist on what you're going to do differently, so that you have a differentiator between you and the rest of the market. It doesn't have to be big though. It just has to be something.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Vess. We've got a question that's come in. Obviously you guys have had a record summer. Are you guys very seasonal, or is it kind of year round? It's obviously some parts of the country, yeah, it's summer all year round. It's certainly not summer today in Utah, but it's sunny.
Well, we'll take the sunny. And so our heavy sales season is about 6 months of the year. Although the last couple of years we've invested heavily into digital marketing, and so our inside sales team is selling, year round, and we're really excited to continue to look at more traditional marketing, and that will help us to add customers all the time. As far as the heartbeat of the company, though, we're ripping and roaring, 12 months a year, because we're servicing the company or the customers that we do have year round. And then obviously we're always prepping for the next big sales season.
Okay. One of the questions that's come in, you got to spend 18 holes on the course with Tiger. What was the best thing that Tiger shared with you, either on business or golf?
Yeah. One of the most remarkable things that he shared with me was, he said, Vess, you don't understand, or nobody understands how bad my back was. He said, 18 months ago, I was here in Pacific Palisades area at a hotel, and I wasn't able to get off my back for a week without people helping me. He said, I needed people to help me use the restroom, which is quite amazing to think that he fought that hard to get back to where he is now. The other thing that I thought was just really interesting was, I said, hey, what time, if you're teeing off at 7:30, what time do you wake up to get ready for your tee time? 3:30 a.m. was his response, because of the stretching, the workouts, the eating, and then the normal golf prep and so forth. So he has an early morning to get started. And then one last thing, he said his favorite moment of his career was the 99 Masters. So.
Oh, good. Interesting with that. A good question that's come in. It talks, the culture at Aptive is much different than a lot of other sales cultures at different companies. Your reps seem to be very reserved and financially responsible. Where does this come from, and how do you keep that intact? And do you feel that that's part of your success?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that early on we tried to teach responsibility. We tried to teach modesty. And I am so proud of our leadership. They invest heavily. I think in 2019, we have 27 what are called division managers, and collectively they purchased about 130 doors of real estate. And so culturally, that's just kind of, what's taken off. Now, many of them are finding tremendous success, and so they're buying some toys as well. But we've definitely been able to just create a culture of being wise and prudent, and that attracts people that also want that. And so that's one of the things we're most proud about as far as the company goes.
Awesome. Great answer. Great answer. You've been growing organically. Obviously, your competitors, some do buy-ups and other M&A and inorganic growth strategies. Kind of for your future to get to that number 3 by 2025, are you guys just going to continue purely organic, or will you also look at some of those other options?
Yeah, that's a little bit to be determined, but the good news is that we can reach that goal by doing precisely what we've been doing, and by growing at just the rate that we've been growing at. Certainly, I do believe that to take the next step to overtake, Rollins and ServiceMaster, Terminix, and Orkin, you may have to start looking at some M&A type stuff. I think we'll be really positioned from an EBITDA standpoint then to be able to use leverage to go and take over larger parts of the market even more quickly. And so certainly that's going to be a possibility. But to date, yeah, all of our growth has been just from what we've done, which I always kind of get a little bit annoyed when I look at the financials of Terminix or Rollins, because underneath, this is for you accounting guys, underneath the EBITDA number, there's this big interest expense number, which is just telling me that they're out buying their growth, and they're buying their EBITDA, where we're creating it on our own. So
that's an awesome place to be. Awesome place to be. So got one of the questions. It's not a question. It's saying Tigers 4 under and 3 back at Paul Casey. So
thank you for the update. I get so mad at the Masters coverage because they want to show only, a few hours a day. I'm like, let's just show the entire tournament. So that's great. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you all of a sudden, Chris.
Sorry about that. Keep the technology. I always mute myself, or it's probably Caitlin muting me to keep me quiet. So Vess, I just want to thank you for presenting today, and great job on the questions. I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed president, Paul Skeen of the MountainWest Capital Network, who's going to finish it off for us.
Thank you so much.
Vess, thanks for those comments. Chris, appreciate the Q&A and arranging all of this. I don't have anything more to add to this other than watch for the invites for our forum on December 17th. They will have a hard act to follow with Vess and his accolades. So really appreciate everyone joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.